So, October is one of my favorite months of the year, and you know the reason why, because I really love horror. So, let's talk about some really scary books. Hi, readers, it's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, and welcome to what might be one of my only videos about horror this month, although I do love October, and it is one of my favorite months of the year. I am probably not going to read a ton of horror this month. I am reading something right now that's pretty scary, spooky, kind of, but it's not necessarily billed that way. At least I didn't think it was. But maybe it is. And then I have a couple of others that I might slide in here. You just never know. But the first four are books that I have read and own and loved or liked a lot. And then the second four books are books that have been on my shelves for a while and I would like to get to at some point fairly soon. So let's get started. So the first one I'm bringing forward is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. If you've not read anything by Simone St. James, I really recommend her. She's one of my favorite authors. And this one was one of my favorites by her. I don't think I gave it 5 stars, but I really enjoyed this one. It reminds me so much of our travels to the Clearwater, Florida area when I was a kid in the 60s and 70s. The motels looked just like this. Not even kidding. This could be a photo from Clearwater, Florida. I have tons of them. And it just drew me in for sure. But the premise of this also drew me in. And of course, Simone St. James, I was all in. So this one came out in 2020. So it's been out for a number of years, but also what was interesting about this one is that people had sort of mixed reactions to this, and I did enjoy it a lot. I really, really did. So two timelines. Viv Delaney ends up wanting to live in New York, wanting to move there, and I don't know if she's going to try to be an actress or I don't remember actually why she was compelled to move to New York, but she was. And so in her timeline, which is 1982, she takes a job at the Sundown Motel to help pay for her expenses and for her to be able to live in New York because it's kind of pricey. She works at night on the night shift and something happens and she disappears. Fast forward to 2017, and Carly Kirk has never been able to sort of get clear about or have peace about what happened to her aunt, Viv Delaney. And she's just been troubled by it for a long, long time. So she decides to go and move to Fell, New York, which is where Viv was when she disappeared, and to get a job or to stay at the Sundown Motel. I think she stays at it, but I can't remember for sure. Maybe she also gets a job there. Nevertheless, she finds herself engaged in the same kinds of mysteries that she thinks her aunt was experiencing. I loved it. I really did. It was really, really good. It's gotten a lot of good buzz over the years. So I would love to get back to that one someday and read it again. This one was a book that everybody absolutely loved. This is the 20th anniversary edition of Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire. I enjoyed this one too. This was my introduction to Anne Rice. I later ended up kind of not going back to the vampire series, but definitely love the Mayfair Witches. As you know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I love that one the most. This one is funny because I got it at a used bookstore. This was Justin Vaughn's book, by the way. He wrote in pencil a little bit here and there, but he also highlighted some things. Anne Rice was really the queen of horror for a long time. She was very well known and she was very successful as an author, and her son Christopher Rice has been successful as well. He also writes some horror-y stuff, but more, I would say, mystery, suspense, thriller kinds of novels. But this one was really, really good. And I loved this book much more than I did the movie. I will just say that. The movie was not my thing, but I will never forget reading this. I will never forget kind of devouring it. And so it really is about a vampire and other people in the vampire's life. And the book begins with the vampire telling his story to the boy. You, as far as I remember, you never know what the boy's name is, but you do understand what his name is, and you understand his journey. I love it because it is both present day, him telling the story to the boy, but then he goes back in time and really relives his life up until that moment because, vampires don't die unless something really intense happens, right? So, look, here's Anne Rice on the back of this book. I love that photo. Anne Rice lived in New Orleans. I have been by her house multiple times. Lots of people have. She used to have big parties in her home, actually, with lots of people that she didn't know, and she was very generous about doing that. And it seems like something terrible could have happened, but as far as I know, it never did. But people were always talking about that, and I have a lot of friends who did get to go to those big parties. I was not one of those people, but I would have loved to have done it. I just will never forget this one because it was my first, I think, and because I do love stories about vampires. And then we have something creepy, but we haven't defined it yet. This one I read last fall when I was headed to and coming back from Arizona. I read it very quickly. Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak is also one that I will never forget. There are two reasons for that. One is that it's really creepy. Two is that it's illustrated. So it tells you the stories about these things, but it also shows you the pictures that this child draws for the girl who's caring for him, minding for him. So Mallory Quinn has just come out of rehab. Yeah. And she's getting some care. She's got a sponsor. She's really connecting and she's doing very, very well with that. But she also applies for a job as a babysitter. And I'm pretty sure that she doesn't tell them that she was an addict or anything about her past life. But she goes to stay with this family and take care of their son while they work and do other things, obviously. And his name is Teddy, the little boy, and he's 5 years old. His dad's name is Ted. His mom's name is Caroline. She really starts to bond with this boy, and he immediately shows her that he loves to draw, and he has a sketchbook, and he never goes anywhere without it. Even if they go for a walk, he takes that sketchbook with him, and he draws a lot of things. And she's really like, these are so cute. And then one day, this one. So he starts drawing pictures of things that are really unsettling. And I just adored this. I really, really did. I have another book by Jason Rekulak. It's the one about the last person at the wedding or something like that. I haven't gotten to that either, but I could. That's definitely one that I could add to this stack. And then Jennifer McMahon is an author that I really enjoy. The Winter People was, I think, the first book by her that I read. It's been a while ago now. This one is set in West Hall, Vermont, and Sarah Harrison Shea was found dead in 1908, and no one knows how this happened. It's a big mystery. But they also say that Sarah's ghost walks around in the evening and people can see her, and people leave things on the doorstep to keep her from doing harm to them, I guess, or to keep her satisfied. Ruthie Washburn, though, grew up in an isolated farmhouse with her mother Alice and her younger sister Fawn, and wants to escape from that place. But Ruthie wakes up one morning to find that her mother has vanished. Alice is gone, and she doesn't know how this could have happened, but now there are some things that she discovers in a diary that would lead her to believe that this is connected somehow to the absence of Sarah. I really enjoyed this one. It wasn't a 5-star read for me either, but Jennifer McMahon is a good author. Now, here's the 4 books that I would like to get to at some point that I've had for a bit. So they're all backlist titles, and I'm really excited about all of them. First one is The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. I've loved this cover. And you see the blurb, in a locked room is a painted wooden figure that looks just like Elsie. Okay, Laura Purcell does a really great job of setting an atmosphere on this, and I can tell you that because I read like the first couple of chapters before I bought it to see if I thought it would be something that I would enjoy, and I do think I will. So Elsie is pregnant, and her husband has died suddenly, right not long after they're married, and so she's ending up in a wagon driven by a man she doesn't know to a country estate she's never been to with people that are working at the estate because her dead husband, did have a good bit of money. She knows none of these people. She just has nothing else, nowhere else to go. So she ends up going to this place, but the people that are there do not like her. There's a lot of just difficulty with people talking to her in the area, in the neighborhood. But one cousin of her late husband does speak to her a good bit and is trying to, I guess, befriend her. But what she finds out is there's a locked room, and behind it is this wooden figure that looks just like Elise. And what is that, or Elsie? So what does that mean exactly? And what is that hidden figure going to do to her? I just love this cover, and I would love to get through this soon. It is not long, 304 pages, but of course it's a smaller paperback, but mm, mm. All right, this one I started reading and I'll tell you where I got because I have a receipt here, 82 pages in, and I bought this in 2024, it looks like, from Barnes and Noble. This came out in 2017 as well. This is Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. I think I also have this on audio, but I got it physically because I wasn't tracking with it on audio at that time. And I really thought it would be a good read, and I still do. I just haven't gotten back to it. So this one is about authors, okay? So this mansion has been in terrible shape for a long time. It's been abandoned long ago in this remote area, and this author is asked to come to this house for an event, which he then, I think, later discovers that there are other authors there as well. So this house has not been opened in decades. It was in terrible shape, and now it's restored to some degree, I'm sure. I can't remember to what degree, but it's supposed to be like a publicity kind of event for these authors, and they're going to spend the night in this notoriously haunted house. And will they survive the night? I don't know, but these kinds of books are really always delightful for me. This one is a bit bigger. This one is 415 pages, and yes, I would like to finish that. And I could listen to it. I've had that for so long that I bought it on Audible as a credit. Yeah. And the next one is an author I've read before. This is Josh Malerman's Daphne. I have read Bird Box, and I think I read Unbury Carol. Did I? If I didn't, I wanted to. But this one is about Daphne, and I think I got it last year. I remember picking it up. It was on sale one day at my local bookstore. And I really enjoyed Bird Box a lot, and I think I enjoyed Unbury Carol, but I don't remember anything about it at the moment. This is about some high schoolers who are about at the end of their seniors, or about at the end of their school year, and they're beginning to go on to college, and they're all together one night, like I think in a campfire. And so they're telling a story about a girl named Daphne who died under mysterious circumstances. So they're telling ghost stories around the fire. You know, that is it's a typical kind of setup for a lot of horror novels. But of course, then something terrible starts to happen after they have started talking about Daphne. And Daphne's clearly still around in some form or fashion. And so this young girl whose name is Kit tries to find out what happened to Daphne and how she can, I guess, either get away from this or figure out what to do in some way. It's a coming of age story and an iconic female villain with an innovative new vision of classic horror, is what it says. I'm all in. And that one's not terribly long either. And I think I got this at Octavia Books in New Orleans because that's what the bookmark says. So there you go. And then another return author, Jennifer McMahon, My Darling Girl. I got this one a while ago. I think this one was brand new. I don't remember where I ordered it from. Came out in 2023, this first hardcover edition. And this is a mother-daughter story, and you know those can be very, very creepy. But this young woman, whose name is Allison O'Connor, lives in Vermont with her husband and her children, and she doesn't really have a relationship with her mom anymore. But her mom reaches out and says, "Hey, I'm dying, and I would really like you to spend time with me as this is the end of my life." And so she agrees to do that, even though they've been estranged for a while. Her mother says she only has weeks to live. And when she gets there, terrifying things begin to happen, and her mother does not seem like herself. So this one is more of a possession novel, I would say, story. Paul Tremblay says, one hell of a clever and page-turning possession story. So there you go. But I'm all in. So you have possession, you have ghosts, you have a haunted house, and you have probably another haunted house, but also a little bit of a like nostalgic, maybe Victorian kind of haunting. So I think those will be fantastic. And then, of course, in this one, you have a ghost story, a boy who may be possessed by someone who is showing him pictures that he shouldn't see, vampires, and ghosts in a motel. I mean, how can you go wrong with any of these, right? Let me know if you've read any of these or what your favorite horror stories are, because you know I need you to tell me that. And if you are watching this and you don't want to put in a comment, but you want me to know you were here, you could add a little vampire, a ghost, all kinds of little creepy emojis are lingering out there. So you choose one that works for you. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for all your support. And as always, happy reading. Bye.